2 a.m. The apartment is quiet. The phone is charging. The body is tired. And somewhere behind the eyes, the same conversation starts again. Not a new one. The one from 6 hours ago, or 6 days ago, or 6 months ago. The one where something was said that didn't land right, or something wasn't said at all. The brain picks it up, runs it again, adjusts a word, changes a tone, imagines a different reaction, and then starts over. Same scene. New edit. No resolution. Most people land on the same explanation: anxiety. The internet confirms it. Overthinking. Racing thoughts. Your anxious brain. There are 100 videos about it. Almost all of them are wrong. Not about the experience. The experience is real. About the mechanism. Because what's happening at 2 a.m. isn't anxiety running loose. It's something more specific, and understanding the difference changes what to do about it. In 1927, a Lithuanian psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik was sitting in a restaurant in Berlin. She noticed something about the waiters. They could remember complex orders perfectly, multiple tables, specific modifications, precise timing, but only while the orders were open. The moment a table paid and left, the order vanished from memory. Completed tasks disappeared. Uncompleted tasks persisted. She ran controlled experiments. The finding was robust. The brain maintains an open loop for anything it perceives as unfinished. The task doesn't have to be important. It just has to be incomplete. Here's where the research gets interesting. That conversation replaying at 2 a.m., the brain doesn't categorize it as a memory. It categorizes it as an open task. Something was started and not finished. A point wasn't made. A feeling wasn't expressed. A reaction wasn't received. The brain doesn't replay it because of anxiety. The brain replays it because, from its perspective, the job isn't done. Edward Watkins at the University of Exeter spent years distinguishing between two types of repetitive thought. He called them constructive and unconstructive. Constructive repetition has a direction. The brain replays a situation, extracts something new each time, and eventually reaches a conclusion. The loop closes. The thought dissolves. Unconstructive repetition has no direction. Same scene. Same emotional charge. Same unanswered question. The loop stays open because the brain keeps looking for a resolution that the replay itself cannot provide. It's the difference between rewinding a movie to understand a scene and rewinding it because the ending doesn't exist. And that's only the surface. Because not all conversations replay equally. Some land and leave, others stick for days. The ones that stick share a pattern, and it's not about what was said. 3 things make a conversation stick, not the content, the conditions. Condition 1, unexpressed intent. A person enters a conversation with something specific to say. The conversation shifts. The moment passes. The thing goes unsaid. Afterward, the brain doesn't replay the conversation. It replays the gap, the space where the words were supposed to go. The conversation becomes a container for everything that didn't happen inside it. That's why some trivial exchanges replay for weeks. The exchange was trivial. The unexpressed intent was not. Condition 2, ambiguous outcome. The conversation ended, but the conclusion was unclear. A friend's tone was off. A pause lasted a beat too long. A message was read, but not responded to. The brain tolerates many things poorly, but ambiguity is near the top. Baumeister and colleagues, 1998, demonstrated that suppressing unresolved thoughts requires continuous mental effort. The brain spends energy actively trying not to think about the thing and eventually runs out. 2 a.m. is when the resources are lowest. The suppressed thought breaks through. It was never gone. It was just held underwater. Condition 3. Identity threat. The conversation touched something about who a person believes they are. Not a disagreement about facts, a moment where the self-image was challenged and the challenge went unaddressed. Someone implied incompetence, or indifference, or dishonesty. The content may have been minor. The implication was not. The brain replays it because the identity needs to be restored, and the replay is the only courtroom available. Someone once described it perfectly. The conversation was over, but the argument in my head hadn't even started yet. That's the architecture. The real conversation ended. The internal one opened, and the internal one has no closing time. Now, what actually works? Nolan Hoeksema's distinction matters here. Rumination and reflection are not the same activity. Rumination replays without direction. Reflection replays with a purpose. The technique that works isn't stop thinking about it. The brain has already proven that doesn't work. The technique is to close the file. The close the file method. 3 steps. Takes about 5 minutes. Best done with pen and paper, not a screen. Step 1. Write down the conversation. Not everything, just the moment that sticks. 2 or 3 sentences. What was said? What wasn't? The specific frame that keeps replaying. Step 2. Write the unexpressed intent. What was the thing that needed to be said and wasn't? Not what would have been clever. Not the perfect comeback. The honest version. What I actually wanted to say was 1 sentence. Step 3. Write the conclusion. Not what happened, what the person now believes about the situation. This conversation showed me that, or what I know now is, the specific sentence doesn't matter. What matters is that the brain receives a signal. The task is complete. There is a conclusion. The file can close. The mechanism works because of Zeigarnik's original finding in reverse. The brain holds unfinished tasks open. Give it a conclusion, any genuine conclusion, and the loop releases. Not every time. Not permanently for conversations with deep identity stakes. But for the everyday replays that steal sleep and eat attention, it works. The brain was never anxious. It was unfinished. Give it an ending, and it moves on. We've been going deep these last few weeks. Avoidance, identity, overfeeling, open loops. There's a reason all of these connect. And it shows up most clearly in one place, the people closest to the ones doing the avoiding, feeling, and replaying. Next time, relationships. Specifically, why certain people get chosen and what that choice actually reveals.